Hey everyone, just wanted to give a quick rundown of three parts of my trading day. So the preparation, and then I'll do a live one later if I make a day trade, and then follow up at the end. So I just am going to show you quickly SPX levels here and futures. Um, Looks like we ended up here yesterday and have faded since, and so there's a level here of support and then kind of a level here of support if you bring this line back to on the daily, bring it back. So those are some levels, but let's get into specific charts. A lot of these could be broken because of the SPX drop, but if they aren't, that's a good sign of some relative strength, and you could try for breakouts still, especially if it gaps down a little bit down and then can break through during trading hours. So SPWR, you got a nice cup and handle here. I'm just going to go through these. I already did the scan for this, so this is what I'll do for my third video. I'll go through the scans again. But here's cup and handle here. NIO, I like the coil on this one. Long-term coil, dropped out of it. It's gapping down, so it might already kind of be ready to drop. But I love coils for strangles, and so I kind of kept that on there for that. It might give a good trade if it can open before dropping below about 376, it looks like 375 for a short trade or to buy puts. So that's a good one there. This one SDC had a terrible earnings, so it's dropped a lot, but I like this formation here. And so I just kept it on there for now. Datadog, here's a nice one that kind of has this battle between previous cup and then almost like a head and shoulders thing going on here. And it couldn't hold the short, so that's one to watch for a reversal over this trend line. So obviously it's gapped down some in pre-market, but again, it's set up to be a short. But if it reverses, watch out. That can be powerful. Yeti downward channel, found the bounce right along the previous support and then broke out of it a little bit. So I like that one. I said on Twitter I might want it to form a little more of a base, especially with how choppy the market is right now, before I would try to go long in that. Go Grocery Outlet, they had earnings today. I don't know if it's after hours, but that's a nice breakout of the little two cups, I guess. Head and shoulders, inverted head and shoulders kind of. And so I just kept that chart on there, especially because if you look back, you can see this is a pretty huge level and would be a great short through that. And it did for a little bit, but I think with earnings, those shorts probably covered before earnings. But whatever it was, it couldn't survive down there, at least this time. So a reversal could be strong on this one, but again, watching that level down here for a short opportunity. CubeSmart, really interesting. Great base formation, broke out, and then kind of got choppy during the earnings and, market drop. And then it fell hard through that, but it's recovered really nicely and even broke out to just about over the recent highs, February highs, and then these are the higher ones. Let me zoom out a little bit. So yeah, this 33 level is pretty huge on CubeSmart. But I like to see that. I like to see increased relative volume, and there's a lot going on lately. So that's one to watch. Dropbox is a good example of how there's a lot of cup and handles out there right now. This is a good example of seeing one that has less strength. So a lot of them have formed, either have broken out or have come up to at least the resistance line. Dropbox has not. And so that could show some weakness there. But keeping an eye on it anyway. Here's an example of the one that has broken out. So Slack, ticker work, broke out, made the cup formation, broke out a little bit on at the end of the day. And so that shows a little more strength. The relative volume on this is not really too high. So it definitely needs some volume to surge out of that. So looking for that today, especially with the coronavirus relationship. Dropbox also has a little bit of that, but it's not as direct. So it's just storage. So here's a good one. I love this name. It's got a great channel going on, and it's been chopping through that channel. So either side of it, I've been playing strangles in case it breaks down, and then catching the reverse has been nice. But they just had earnings and surged through that 45.50 level, but couldn't hold it again. Seems like it can't really hold above that yet, even back here, the highs. And so I'm keeping this one on the radar just because it's got some potential there. And definitely, if you look at the 30-minute, it's pretty choppy, but since earnings, it's kind of stayed in this range. And so if it can stay in there today, by the end of the day, I may risk a lotto strangle on it, just because it has such big swings. But it's got to stay quiet today for me to want to do that. Intel, this is a great cup and handle coming up against the former resistance that broke down, but it was resistance and then it was support. And now it's resistance again. So a big spot there. Again, gap downs. I mean, this one gaps down pretty far. So gap down and surge through could be your best friend today, to prevent the volatility of a little mini gap up into the breakout and all that. It's tougher to trade sometimes. Not saying it will do that. Definitely could flush after a gap down with the market, how it is behaving. Let's go see what it's like. Yeah, it's just kind of making new lows, speeding up a little bit. So always keep that in mind. Don't get too crazy, and keep managing your risk along the way as well. Okay, so you have Intel, and then you have a great excuse me, falling wedge breakout by Glue Mobile. Love those charts. Flowers, 1-800-Flowers, one that did not get too affected by the market drop, and it's definitely got these nice levels up here with good relative strength. Volume-wise, relative volume is high. Sorry, my terms are a little rusty today, but I like that one. It's just been strong during this whole time of the market drop. So Chewy, another great falling wedge here. Great price target upgrades over here. If you look at it on the bigger scale, it's like a double top here, kind of like rolling over, if you will. But they've got some great price upgrades that have happened recently that shouldn't be ignored for whenever it does get some steam again and break out of that. And falling wedge, you know how much I like those. If you follow me on Twitter or StockTwits, you've seen that. And then Head and Shoulders, inverted Head and Shoulders here for Walgreens. Walgreens looks like it's going to gap down to this area again. Great potential setup. See how it handles that area, and then if it can come back up to meet this breakout spot again, especially Walgreens with coronavirus stuff. People are going to go to Walgreens to get medication. GLW, Corning, another cup and handle. This one actually also has some nice relative volume. So I like that. I like to see that. So another one to watch. INO is just one of the crazy coronavirus ones, and so this is definitely setting up to short, but I was saying on Twitter, is it going to be a bear trap or finally flush? And it looks like today they released some more news, or somebody released news about them racing to get this vaccine done. So here's the chart. It looks like it's going to kind of gap down a little bit at the open. Again, this should be down, should in quotes, but if it gets squeezed up over the 850, 870 area, there's a chance it could break out. Just keep your risk, your stop loss set mentally or whatever. Just be true to your stop and whatever your risk is, and wait for a good risk reward opportunity. And be careful there. And then GNMK is the other one that I think had the test for coronavirus this day. Spiked up, dropped into earnings, and then it's been hanging out here, which is a good sign, especially with how big INO went. Just keep that in mind and watch that over. I think it went up to 480s in pre-market, so you can watch that over this. Some of these numbers here are wrong at the moment. Peloton, I am in this one. I got in here, some calls and puts, strangle for Peloton on the little cup here. So I got in here, did a nice little surge at the close, but recently it's gapped down. So let's go to Rite Aid. So this one's a great coronavirus one. A lot of squeezing happening here. I mean, you look at this chart, what a huge run it had, and then dropped down and held the support. Actually, it flagged that first day after earnings, and it held the support of the flag nicely, and then made a little bit of higher low here as it curled, dropped down to that spot again, bounced, and surged up through. So what I would be looking at here is hopefully another little drop down to consolidate a little bit, but anywhere over this 1745-ish level for the breakout would be could be pretty impressive. And then here's another flag with learn. This is education, online education. I've been watching these since the coronavirus stuff hit. So you've got a big cup here after the earnings, and then a flag with some pretty high relative volume. So you want to watch over the top of that level. I think it's around 2060, 2065. And then here's another online one that broke out of the falling wedge. I missed the initial break, but I'm going to watch that, keep watching it in case it can curl back down, as they sometimes do out of falling wedges. Okay, back to SPX. Looks like we're in for a little bounce or flush at the open, so we'll see how that goes. But good luck today, and if you're watching this in the future, hope this helps a little bit as far as preparing setups, and then I'll show you live trades later, and then the third video will be actually searching through charts for these. Thanks for watching. You can follow me on Twitter, Engage the Trade.